Welcome to Island Fans, another show. And tonight is Free Up Friday. Y'all know how it is on Free Up Friday. We talk about any and everything, but tonight is a special edition. It's the Fantasy Premier League edition. And we got the king of fantasy so far with us tonight. All right, we got
Let's see.
we got Jonathan Suko with us. His name, what's the name there? Tuchel for the W. All right, you look so far, and fantasy players when we thinking the same. So if you're a part of our fantasy crew, you should be looking at this tonight. And if you are not a part of the crew, of course, you can always jump in and let your fantasy team be a part of us. I think we have over 50 people in our league, and Jonathan Suko is at the top. He's at the top, and he's doing well. I think you're 19 points ahead from second place, if last time I checked. All right, and then we see other people here. I think Shaq and I are also in the top 10, isn't it? Right, and then Memphis and Moya somewhere down the bottom. Is that how it is? I'm not
Down
sure.
the
If you can,
bottom.
if you can, if you can
Yeah.
remind me of it.
The bottom very far, yeah.
But welcome to all the people coming in. I see so many fans coming in. Couple people in the comments. Amija as usual, early night, fellas. And Kembe here looking in as well. And look, Kembe's in on fantasy. I think he is, right?
I don't
Mhm.
know,
Not
man.
entirely sure. Kembe, let us know if you're in on fantasy and where you are, your position is tonight. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so I'm going to jump right into it. But how's everybody doing this Good Friday evening?
Yo, I'm good, man. I missed football
Pretty
Great.
last
good.
weekend, so let's
Yeah,
go
pretty
again.
good too.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Hopefully, no earthquakes tonight in this show, unlike
Well,
last night. That
I'm
was a
slightly
little weird.
disappointed
Why are you
Right.
disappointed, Memphis?
because I heard Fred is allowed to play tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh,
The
Yeah.
Brazilian players are allowed now. A
ah,
very late report from what they said. What was issued this afternoon?
okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I know a
Yep.
lot of United fans were happy that Fred
Yeah.
wasn't going to play, but and I think Van de Beek right now is crying in his sleep because I think he probably was hoping for the start, but that looked like this was going to happen
I
now.
mean,
But
he might still start.
we will see. I know anybody's putting
Yeah.
him in the fantasy though. But of course, if you watched the show last night, and go check it out if you haven't, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We also talked about the Arsenal Norwich game that's also going to be happening tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we're going to be throwing that in tonight. Any thoughts of having any Arsenal players in your team? I'm hearing that Pookie's supposed to be scoring a hat trick tomorrow. So we'll see how that
I
Super
mean,
goes.
Captain
You
Pookie.
know, all right.
word on the street, I have Norwich players in my team.
Oh, okay. Word on the
All right.
street.
Word on the
uh,
street, nobody cares. Wow.
and you never know. I'm hearing triple captain Aubameyang. How kind of triple captain I'm hearing?
Super
You
Captain
know,
Pookie. I can't
triple
get.
Cantwell.
and Cantwell. How kind of people I'm hearing triple captain? I
Ben
even suggested triple
Gibson.
captain Maguire as well too. He's going to
Okay,
score 3 headers tomorrow, right, Memphis?
3 headers
Oh,
in his
go
own
ahead,
net,
man.
maybe. Yes, sir.
Eh,
Okay, so let's start with Suka. Let's start with Suka. So Suka, we started off fantasy, coming off of the Euros, which I
Yeah.
won, by the way, fans. Just a reminder to everybody. And we started off with fantasy. What are your thoughts when you put your team together that led to you, just 4 game weeks in being 19 points ahead?
Um, what I did is I mean I look at a bit of the popular players,
Hmm.
right? Those on the very high end. I think Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandez and Salah were I think like the highest three in like
Mm,
probably about over 45% of teams,
mm,
right? Um, and then what you do, I built the rest of my squad around those three. So like maybe
mhm.
about three or four core players,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you build around that. Now, um, initially, what I did was to have about like two guys on the bench, um, who can come in or who can be
okay.
subs in the event, and then you have like two non-playing duds.
Guys, yeah.
Like yeah, right. So you can
The
free
three
up the funds
boxer.
elsewhere. Right.
Yeah,
So
4.5 and 4.0
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I
Hmm.
started with a 3-5-2. I think that I've used
Yeah.
for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, which is a typical
Um,
formation that people tend to do in the beginning.
Mhm.
with that, and starting up with two strikers. But I
Yeah.
know a lot of FPL owners, and you did as well too. We
Mhm.
started out with Antonio and
Yeah.
Ings. And
Yes.
for many that would have been unpopular opinion to think you'd rather go with people like Lukaku.
Mhm.
Everybody knew he was coming
Yeah.
in,
Mhm.
and then of course you have Kane, and whether or not he would have started, they
Right.
weren't really the persons that was scoring a ton of goals last season, but they
Yeah.
end up really doing well for
Yeah.
us
Yeah. I
this
think
season.
what put people off, of course, Kane was coming back from the Euros,
Hmm.
and then so he would have been out for probably like the first two games or so. And
Yeah,
then you also had Lukaku just joining. So he had to integrate with the team and stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
off the bat, you look at preseason, Antonio was in form, all
He
these guys.
was.
So yeah,
Ben
and then
Rama.
you knew Ings, right, and Ben Rama as well. So Ings was already he moved over. There was no preseason anything really. He didn't play any Euros, anything. There's nothing. So he's fresh,
True. Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
so yeah.
that's pretty good. Yeah. All right. So what we're
Mhm.
gonna do tonight too. Thanks a lot for that. So what we're going to tonight. We're gonna
Mhm.
work our way through some data that I compiled just for this evening, just to let
Okay.
us have a perspective as to how persons who are in the fantasy and going forward will do what they will do. All right. And the first thing I would like to touch on specifically is in relation to this particular graphic here. I'll take off
Mhm.
the Fantasy Premier Code. If you want to know that, you can always join. Basically, they polled. There was a poll done of 100 expert managers who made it within the top 100 over the last few FPL seasons. And then coming into this particular game week, I think with those who haven't played their wild card yet, and with the introduction specifically of Cristiano joining Manchester United, a lot of FPL owners are thinking, what are we going to do? And I found this data interesting. I figured that we could go through it.
Yeah.
20% of managers are making just one transfer,
Yeah.
and 36% of managers are making two transfers. But what I found interesting is that 16% of managers are making 3+ transfers, and that means you're getting into negative points.
Mhm.
So I mean, what you guys thoughts on that, right? I mean, will it going forward in fantasy generally,
Mhm.
not only for this weekend but in future weekends? At what point do you take a -8, -4? Is a -12 even something that you
I
try to do?
I want to believe that out of that 16% who are taking the three
Mhm.
plus transfers, I want to believe that they rolled over transfers before. So they would probably
Solid
come in
point.
with like two free transfers. So
And
they
now
would
the
take an
minus
extra
have the -4.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's just the -4.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's just a -4.
Moy, talk to me. In what scenario would you normally take a -4? Say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take a -4 this week.
I mean, if you're looking at it, you look at the favorable fixtures, as you would say, like,
Yes, the
you look at
fixtures.
this
Hmm.
Arsenal Norwich fixture, you would most likely say that it's in the favor of an Arsenal player to perform. So you're most likely, if you're trying to get in an Aubameyang or a Pepe, you can look to take a minus
Hmm.
Yeah.
points there because
Yeah.
this is games that these players should be showing up in and expected to play well.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the fixtures determine a lot of moves like that. I mean, I've done a few like that before. Take the hit.
Hmm.
That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Unfavorable fixtures. Yeah,
It's a gamble. So I guess too,
it is.
Yeah.
if you gamble in that sense, but then if you have
Hmm.
injuries, like 2+ injuries in your team to key players,
Yeah,
then you take the -4. If you can't
yeah,
really, if there's nobody on your bench like playing, you take the -4 and just move on. Hopefully there's a good
yeah,
transfer in.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you're hoping that maybe they make double-digit points, so they make
Hmm.
12,
Yeah, to
16,
make up the
20.
deficit and then add.
Yeah, because
Right.
nothing
Yeah.
worse than nothing worse than when you invest in them, and then you have negative points, and then all
Yeah,
of a
red
sudden
card.
late in the game, yeah, or yellow card is what hurt me now. Red card, that hurts. But it's like you were doing so good, and then Luke Shaw did that to me all the time because Luke Shaw the kind of player, right? That
Mhm.
if he knows that he has a couple yellow cards and he don't plan to get a second yellow, he would just take a yellow for Man U anytime. Just grab a player and pull them back.
Yeah.
So you'd go get an assist, man, you might get a clean sheet, and then you have to factor in the yellow card factor. What's that, -2? I think it's -2 for yellow card when that
One.
comes into play.
-1.
It's
I
one?
think.
It's
Yeah,
one?
one.
Okay,
I
it's
think
one.
it's
Okay.
-2 for the red.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
When you think about that. But then the other stat that I found interesting was that only 2% of managers are not making a transfer this week. I thought that'd be a little higher. I thought people may say, you know what?
Yeah.
I used up my transfer last week, so I can't have two coming to this week. So I am going to save the one this week so that I could get Cristiano in next week. But it doesn't seem that way. It seems like majority of people are making that double transfer, which means they saved it from last time. Which is interesting. But then also you have 26% of managers are using their wild card. And I thought that was pretty high when you're considering the other percentages, because ultimately the people are trying to get in as many people as they can, especially looking at the fixtures that are coming up this weekend. But even though it's still not as high as those who are not using it. So I guess those who are using their wildcard are figuring, I need a little bump, and they take the risk. But again, what if it doesn't pan out, So it goes both ways in that regard, regards to that. So I mean, I think in, like, for instance, the two guys in the picture there, we got DCL and we got Jota, two guys that right now people are thinking about bringing into their teams. What do you guys think about their form? Are there risks for FPL owners coming in or not?
I mean, for me, I think I read earlier that DCL is not fit. He just started training. He was starting training yesterday, so I doubt he will feature. But in a normal circumstance with him, I think he's a really good pick. I had him in my team last game week because no, he's on penalties.
He's on penalties, yeah.
He's taking the penalties for Everton. So of course, yes, he's in the position to score goals, and if he's also on penalties, that he adds to his.
Yeah, that's a big bump to his value.
Yeah, he adds to his appeal.
Nice appeal.
The Jota one for me though is okay. Jota is good value. But when you look at, maybe they have some other 6.0 or 7.1 players, you're looking at his fixtures, and I think as long as his fixtures are good, you put him in. And especially with Firmino being out, then I think Liverpool will get chances, Liverpool will score goals. So I think a Liverpool number 9, that's good value for money, right?
Yeah, because Salah and Mane coming at 12 plus or 11.5 up. So to squeeze in a forward that you'll get some game time because of the Firmino injury, and then I mean he's predicted to start this weekend easily. He slots in between the two forwards. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk about this next graphic here. We have most popular game week 4 transfers in the world. This is taken from the FPL site. And as you would expect, look at the amount of people that have brought Cristiano into their team. You guys seeing that number? I mean, that's a lot of people. I mean, So Memphis, you're a Man United fan. I mean, obviously you're not surprised. Will this end up hurting FPL owners or not? I mean, is there too much hype around him? Could it flop?
I'd say there might be too much hype around him for this game week because it's not certain if he'll start or not as yet.
True. It's not certain.
Yeah, I think Ole Gunnar came out today and said he'll be on the pitch.
He'll
be on the pitch, coming for any number of minutes, and then he's projected to start in a few pundit sites that I usually look at. He's projected, but we don't know. Probably he'll get probably 40 minutes or so. Probably he's coming at 60 minutes, something just to get a feel of the game. Just to get
because they're contrasting views in that. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what we don't want is to miss out on a potentially bringing in Ronaldo this week, and let's say he has a game week like Bruno Fernandes in game week 1, and scores
Yeah.
Mm.
scores just a hat trick.
Trick.
And
Yeah.
then
Oh
his price
man.
starts to go up. By then he's already high.
Oh
Just
yes.
goes
Yeah.
up
Yep.
His
by
prices go up.
12.6
Yep.
next week.
Yep.
So you're looking at that. So I guess that's also on manager's mind coming in. Do I want to
Yeah.
wait or do I want to get him
Yeah.
right now?
That's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, yeah. 12.5, that's a lot,
Hmm.
when you think about
Hmm.
that. And we'll talk about it in a second because, we see some people trying to find other ways of bringing him in this game week without having to use their wild card or so forth, which means you have to take out a high profile person. And that would mean probably taking out somebody like Bruno if you have money on the bench, a money left over, or even Salah. But then Salah has a favorable game week coming up this week too. So
And he
then
has a
now you're
couple of good
thinking,
game weeks after.
he does exactly.
Yep.
And, so I just find it so interesting that 1 million people figure, you know what? Let me bring in Cristiano. But what's interesting too, more, you're a City fan. We got Ferran Torres here with
Yep.
666,000 people bringing him in this weekend. Does that have anything to do with his performance last game week?
I mean, yeah, he has been playing good for the start of the season. He scored a couple goals in his last two games. And I mean, looking at how the City team is right now, he's the one that is the actually starting striker. So he's one of those players I would most likely put in your team and not have to worry about what Pep will do at that striking spot, especially if we're not
Mm-hmm.
so too certain about if these Brazilians can play like Gabriel Jesus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Because I know you guys wanted that main striker. You eagerly pursued it. And Torres decides, you know what? I can do the job. I'm going to do the job. And so far, he's doing it. So let's see what happens in the weekend. Antonio, of course, continues those bringing in people who didn't believe in him before, but trying to believe in him now. And they're rushing him into their team. Benarama as well, too. Greenwood as well, too. Great. I find it interesting. I'm shocked. I mean, your thoughts on this? Is that surprising to you?
Gray?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was going to touch on.
Yep.
He has been doing well. You can't take that away from him. He's a cheap option. And if
Cheap.
Everton
Yeah.
continues to do well, I guess you can't fault him. That would be a bargain buy. One of the
Mm.
the gems that you pick out throughout the season. But I'm not personally. I am not sold on Gray. I'm not the FPL expert like Suku down here. So I guess Suku can shed his light on this. But I
Uh-huh.
don't. I
Yeah.
just you have some Suku where
Yeah.
they have a good stretch of 3-4 game weeks where they're really
Yeah.
good, and then
Mhm.
everybody rush to put them in, and then they just go flop after that. Do you think
Yep.
that Gray
Yep.
is one that Gray drops into that category?
I think he has some good fixtures coming up. So if it is that the managers have picked him for the next couple of game weeks, I think that's what they're keeping their eyes on. I think he's very well from what I've seen him being very central in the attack itself. Probably just behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He floats in
Mm.
just there, and then he has the pace as well. So I think he's about what 5.6, and he's guaranteed to
Mm.
start.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah, that's
pulls.
that's that's a
He
shrewd
to
buy.
me, he feels like he's more of a scorer of great goals than a goal scorer. So
Mhm.
time now and again
I
he'll
think
give
that's
you
an
a good
excellent
goal.
description.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's difficult for me to rely on to put him in my team. But
Mhm.
Sugo, you back Chelsea, that I know personally.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you that Lukaku is so low on the list? He's the only number
Um,
11.
I think that little knock that he picked up, that thigh injury that he picked up originally, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it kind of influenced some managers along that line. And then he has two hard fixtures after this week, right?
Mm.
But he was declared fit, right? And I think what has happened too, it's a battle between Ronaldo and Lukaku up front. So people are weighing up the choice, either or. So I think the whole hype of Ronaldo coming in, I think that has swayed a lot more managers to go to that extent of going. I mean, investing the extra million because it's 1 million more for Ronaldo.
Mm.
So I think they've swayed to that. Um, but he's declared fit, so and I think he's owned by just about 21% of managers from the last time I
Yeah,
Right.
checked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and he's playing against Aston Villa this weekend,
and he
and
does very well against them historically. So
he does. And Martinez is out actually. I don't think he
Martinez is
should be.
out.
Yeah.
Um, So I think it's Ter that's gonna be starting. So
Yeah,
if yeah, you could be looking at a couple
you
of
could
goals from
look at
Lukaku
it, but
this
he's
weekend.
not cheap,
Yeah,
obviously. He's not
yeah,
cheap at all.
Right, and
yeah.
that's what I was going to bring up because when you look at these premium forwards
Hmm.
and you look at Lukaku,
Yeah,
Chelsea doesn't really create lots of chances, loads of chances. So I don't when you think of Lukaku, and Suku, you can tell me when you think of Lukaku,
Hmm.
do you think that Lukaku would have a 3 goal game week haul? I'm not seeing him as that type. So
Yeah, you don't.
compare
Yeah,
that to Ronaldo, compare that to Kane. You
right.
would opt for him. You'd opt for them more than him.
For them, yeah. And the thing about it is he's not on penalties. So I think when you look at
True,
person like
true.
Ronaldo, you look at Kane. As soon as they get a foul in the box, you know they're going to take that ball and go into the spot, and
Right.
head to
yeah,
the spot. So the peel
yeah.
might not be, you know,
That's
much for
it.
Lukaku, but um,
You would
Chelsea
say
do
he's the
create
focus of the
chances,
attack, right?
but he is the focus because
Yeah,
if you have the wingers run wide at when you look up Lukaku is your target man, and it's the same thing that will be for Cristiano once he takes that central spot.
yeah. Yeah. Let's move
Yeah.
on because I know we have other things to discuss. This next graphic here is what appeals to me the most. Those are transfers that are in. This is transfers that are out. But before we get there, a second, we got a couple of fans here. We got a media saying, "I take -20 and so boy every week." Well, that's not a good thing. Okay, don't do that. All right. A couple people are
He
saying
did
good night.
what?
-20. I don't know
When
what kind of strategy that is. We have someone here saying, Aman Shakir, thank you for joining Anno fans. Big ups to you. Do you think Grealish is a good buy? More you're the City fan. Would you put Grealish in your team?
yes, but I really don't know. But this week, I think he
Mm,
should because he's going to be the starter
Hmm.
until the
okay,
likes of
okay.
KDB and Foden is fresh again. Then we'll
Yeah.
see
Get back
Pep.
to match fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think then now we have I think for City you have Foden and you have De Bruyne coming back probably next week. They'll probably
Yep.
not make
Yeah.
it this week, but next week. So then now when you look at Ferran Torres now, who most people are
True.
getting in, then you
True.
know
Good
because that
point.
spot is so
Good
huge,
point.
right? So I mean, yeah,
Uh,
it's good for that game probably, but it's not even the best fixture because it's against Leicester, and
that's true. That's
it's
true.
as we said earlier, probably the preview that you did last night. It's gonna
Mm,
be kind of a tight game. It's
yeah.
it's, it's not to say it's gonna be a free open game. So
Yeah. So Memphis, tell me, when De Bruyne is in match fit, does he go straight into your team?
Into my fantasy team?
Yeah.
Probably not. No, I wouldn't put him straight into my team.
Well, I mean, with all the
That's
assists he
simply
did
because
last
of his
season.
price.
Oh, because of
yeah,
his
right.
price. Okay.
And
Yeah,
City don't
he's.
necessarily have a striker for him to find like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good. That's
He's
Mm,
that's
gonna be the
solid.
striker, isn't it?
Yeah,
he might be.
yeah.
He might be the one scoring the goals. He might play like a false nine or something. Who knows what he's gonna do with that. Let's talk these transfers out though. At the
Yeah.
top of the list here. This is of course
Ings.
amongst FPL owners. I mean, the 100 experts specifically,
Mhm,
and what was popular for them was Ings, taking Ings out.
mhm.
He's number one, and Fernandez and Simicas. Now Simicas, I understand, and you can
Yeah.
notice that if you notice 3 to 11, the numbers are really small: 6, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. But
Mhm.
Ings and Fernandez, though, those are some pretty high numbers. The amount of
Yeah.
people that took them out of the amount of course, expert owners who took them out of their squad.
Mhm.
When we guys, you can explain this. That was Suka. Explain to me why is it that they're taking out these two people? Thoughts on that?
I remember Ings has like the next 4 games is very difficult fixtures for him.
Yeah,
He
they
has
are
Chelsea.
red.
Mm,
Yeah, all red. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Chelsea,
So I
yeah.
think
Everton,
that's
United, and Spurs.
yeah.
Ooh, so the chances are they figure he may not score, so getting him out.
Yeah, it's
For
gonna be hard, more difficult for him
mm,
to score. And then
mm-hmm.
Fernandez with the appeal of Ronaldo coming in.
Ah,
and
that's true. You're
the
right.
sharing
You're
of
Yeah,
right.
the
Bruno is still at
penalties
the damage
and
time.
free kicks. Yeah,
Yeah, especially when they consider the fact that with Cristiano coming in, as you said, that 12 million fans are saying, you know what, I can put that 12 million somewhere else, you know, and adjust that. We got somebody here jumping into the show tonight. We got Skill. What's up, Skill?
yeah.
How you doing? You
Yo,
ready?
yo, yo, yo.
I have a question for you right off the bat, man. Are you taking Bruno out your team? I know you're a big Bruno fan. Are you taking Bruno out your team and bringing in Cristiano? Or you don't want to tell
Well,
us?
surpri- well, surprisingly, I never had him in my team.
Really?
Never
I
ever.
actually, wow,
Yeah,
at no point.
at
Okay.
That's
no point
Pogba.
at all.
Yes,
Pogba
sir, that's
only.
true. You were the Pogba guy. Okay.
Quality.
All right. So you surprised that FPL owners are taking up Fernandez? Because it seems like they're putting their confidence in Cristiano more than in Bruno. Is that wise?
Well, 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 well. Um, where should I start? Honestly, me and Shaq had this conversation. Me, Shaq, and Mo had this conversation when it was yesterday
Hmm.
about him starting and taking the PK and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
don't think he's starting tomorrow. I don't think so.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
he got a W, so he's gonna have to sit and work his way in. That's just how I see it. Not because he is Christy. That's just how I see
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting because FPL owners a bit they don't know what to do. Do we
Yeah.
start him? Do you not start him? Because I mean, Shaq said it earlier. If you were watching, what if you don't start him and then the man bust three of them in the Newcastle hat trick, and they're like, oh my goodness, why
Yeah.
did I doubt one of the goats, man? You never doubt the goat.
Well,
That's it.
well, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. Um, let me see. Let me see. Hold on. Let me gather my thoughts. I'm not gonna say that we are doubting him, but to the fact that we have a team. Okay, Christy came, so we're gonna have to set the players around to fit Christy system.
Hmm.
But if he come off the bench in 53rd minute and you shoot a hat trick, well done. That's your job. Next week you start. That's just how
Okay.
I see it.
Mhm.
I just assume that what else does Cristiano have to prove? Amija here says Ronaldo starts 100% for him. You know, in his opinion, and we know with Ali, we don't know what he's going to do. All right, but yeah, back to what this graphic here. I say we just close off on this particular graphic here. Couple of people here. I understand why they come out. Simicas can get out because of course
Yeah.
you have
Robertson.
Robertson back in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Barnes, I thought was quite disappointing. I think
Yeah.
people expected more from. I had him in my team too
Mhm. I had
initially.
him
I
too.
think, yeah, and he
Yeah.
did not do as we thought.
Yeah. He had a very good
He
preseason, and
he did.
that
He did.
that didn't materialize to the start of the season. So yeah.
It didn't. It didn't. Mahrez comes out. I can't blame fans because you don't know if Mahrez is going to
Yo,
start or not.
that was stupid. The roulette.
Yeah, and then we got Wilson as well
Yeah,
too coming out. I don't understand
Wilson
this
has
one
an
though.
injury though.
That's why. Okay,
Yeah,
that
he's
makes
injured,
sense.
so he's not going to be in.
Okay, all right. We got somebody here in the fan saying that Ronaldo is bad. Get out. Okay, all right. I don't know about that. I guess we don't have a person who
Um,
like
fine.
Cristiano. All right. Here's a question here. Very good question here. Would you take Torres, Grealish, or Traore? I guess he's trying to need
So
some
that's a
help
really,
figuring
really good
out.
question.
It's a really good question for real. All right, Suki, you want to
Yeah.
take this one? Torres,
Oh,
Grealish, or
it's a
Traore?
fun to see. Oh,
Because
Uh,
Suka, just before you jump in, I think
mhm.
Torres is at 7.1, Grealish is at
7.1.
8.0, and
Yeah,
Mm,
that's
Traore
correct.
is
is
6.0.
useless. Oh,
Is useless. Wow. Okay. That's something
Well,
Moy would
So
say,
what?
but go ahead.
well, Traore has the best run of fixtures coming up right now. Right? So that's his platform now for him to get some goals or pick up some form. right? So he's not a bad. I mean, I've seen him in quite a few m- managers teams
Okay.
as a preferred pick. Um, I think the midfield, you have some really good midfield options for at least the next couple of weeks. So you were talking about Gray, Traore, Torres. If I mean, if you can get this game and the following game before De Bruyne and
Oh, no,
uh, yes, and Foden come in. Even after this game, for Leeds, you have a really that game that Leeds has against Liverpool. Rafinha has like a stretch of about like 6 great game weeks, and all these guys fall in between 6.5 and 7.
Interesting.
So you see,
Very interesting. Who's your take, guys? We all say Torres, Grealish, or Traore. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Josh, are you limiting me to just these three? Because
Yeah.
I would throw in just for okay, I would take Traore out of this.
Okay. Memphis disagrees, I assume.
I'd take Saka.
Well, it's of the three, but sure.
Oh, out of these three, um,
Yo, that was a munchy moment, Memphis.
wow.
I'm
It was.
saying,
I mean, it was a shade. They
and that's
playing
not a good
Norwich.
thing, by the way.
Well,
No, no, no. You don't want to ever emulate Munji. All right.
but out of these three, I'd probably take
Mhm.
Torres. Grealish
yeah,
hasn't really impressed me like that. I mean, he's got
Mm.
the goal and the assist in the last two
The thing
game
with
weeks,
these
but
City players, you just don't know what Pep is going to do,
You
man.
don't
Pep
know what
just
Pep
needs
is
to get
going to
yeah,
the
do.
things right.
Pep, it's
no,
like
yeah,
he
but
I,
sits down
I
and
think
figures, how
I
can I
would
battle
say
fantasy
Grealish
owners?
is the safer option
yeah, because
because
you don't bench a
he's either
100
going to
mil player.
play wide of the three, on the left of the three, or he's going to play
Yeah.
in that midfield position. So he's a safer
Mm.
of that three.
he's a safer. Yeah,
Oh,
you
well,
can
of
play
the City
advanced or
players.
you can drop deep. Yeah. Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, quick side question though. How much of an effect, maybe more you can answer this. How much of an effect would the introduction of De Bruyne have on Grealish or no effect?
I think it's going to be very shaky, and I was actually thinking about it and the headache that it would cause a lot of fantasy players when De Bruyne is back and Foden is back also. But
Mm-hmm.
Grealish can also play wide and he can also drop in the midfield. And
Hmm.
I don't know, it's going to take a lot
Mm.
of toll because you don't know where Grealish is going to play and how the rotation is going to be.
Hmm.
So we just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, solid point.
yeah. And then you
And
can
one
never,
last
and you can never
yeah.
second guess Pep.
I don't trust Pep at all, boy. Pep has messed up so many fantasies. I wouldn't be
Pep by
surprised if
himself should be a fantasy.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel
Yep.
Jesus is the starting striker and then Torres bench
Yeah.
for the next 3 games. I mean, he
Easily.
would do
Hello,
something
do
like
not
that.
say that. Please don't say them tiny things. Yeah.
I see the
Well,
Mahrez, Sterling, and Grealish up top.
Right. I remember
as
Mares
soon,
starts on the right,
mhm,
but then he also played Gabriel Jesus wide as well
he
on the
did,
right.
yeah,
You
and he
see?
did actually. He got 2 assists
Yeah,
that
he
game,
got
didn't
two
he?
assists. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I
Josh,
know Suki, you got
just
to
quickly,
good.
let me throw a name in here.
Hmm.
When we looking at, I think I forgot the name now. I forgot the name.
Okay, when you come back to you, I was gonna
Right,
say I know Suka gotta
Right.
go
right.
soon. So let's do one more graphic. This one here is captains going into the game week. Let's
Yeah.
start captains and figure out who fantasy owners would like as
Wow.
the captain. The top experts going into game week 4, if you're gonna bring Ronaldo into your team, have 56% want him as captain versus Newcastle. Home game for United. But then, of course, you can't negate Salah versus Leeds. All right.
Mhm.
So thoughts on that? You see, after that, it gets a little different because you got Fernandez, Lukaku, Antonio, Aubameyang. All favorable game weeks for them. But then, if you're taking Fernandez out to get Ronaldo, how does that work? If you're keeping Fernandez and not bringing in Ronaldo, do you make him captain, or is Salah really just your best bet versus Leeds? All right. What would you guys do? What are your thoughts on this? Does this make any sense to you?
I think Salah is a safer pick. All right,
Yeah.
because
I
he's
agree.
because
Super.
what's that?
He
I
agrees with
agree.
you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Salah is a safer pick, man. Because as he said, um, if Oli had given a little bit more in the press conference to say, okay, he's definitely going to start, or at least there were signs that he was going to start. But for the mere fact that he says he'll be on the pitch, I mean that can be interpreted in so many
So
ways,
many
right?
ways. Yeah.
So it's
Hmm.
it's a risk versus reward scenario for Ronaldo. 56%. It may pay off. Our skills will say he could come in at 53 minutes and still bang in a hat trick. That's just how it
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so it's just a personal choice on the matter. And it's gonna be it's gonna cause either a big move up the ranks
Hmm.
if you do have him, because um I would say, yeah, people are saying these are the experts, right? But what are those persons like below the first 100? If they have Ronaldo as captain and then he bangs it, that pushes them all the way up as well, because I'm sure that not only Ronaldo is not the only captain. A lot of people are looking at Salah. A few shrewd persons are looking at Antonio, because I
Mm.
mean that's a very good fixture for him, and he's hit like double
Yeah.
figures for the last two games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just a personal preference.
Well, Memphis, what about that 1% that's picking Aubameyang? Are they crazy or just genius?
I think they're hoping for something unexpected because I guess they're in a situation where they're like, oh, most people are gonna get these players as you see at the top,
Ah,
so they're going for
Hmm.
all those players are gonna captain this person. Let me captain somebody else and hope that they do
Yeah,
better than the other person.
yeah,
but
because that's the greatness of the fantasy game, because it's you going against the majority.
those
Right.
If your
And
differentials
space
is
hoping
up
to
and
unreal.
you go up
I
the.
guess I'm in that 1%.
Mhm.
You captain Aubameyang?
Of course. It's against Norwich,
Oh,
though.
Skill, would you do it though? Would it's Norwich. Aubameyang could definitely score a hat trick
I
versus
mean,
Norwich. Why is
it
that an
it was
impossibility?
Brentford.
Well, for me, I think
Memphis,
that's
He
a very
played
Memphis,
against
genius.
stop it,
Brentford,
stop
I
it,
bro.
think that's
stop
a
it.
genius move.
You're going on like the man
I
and
don't know
them
what to do with you, Memphis.
is some 14th place team. It's Arsenal. He's not going to continue
Um,
for
Yeah.
long.
did not
When
you know?
Man U was down there this season, nobody was talking like that. Come on, man.
Yes, they were. I don't even
No.
want to
Memphis,
hear that.
just shut up.
Yes, they were.
Memphis. Okay, you
Shock
sound like
self.
Monty. You
Shock
sound
self when they
ridiculous
talk.
like Monty Jack. Man, damn. Y'all ignoring at this
So
point.
Shaq, would you captain Aubameyang going into this fixture?
Oh, it's a favorable fixture, and he has done well. Can't remember the exact number, but I think maybe in his last 2 or 3 appearances against Norwich, he has 6 goals or something. So I think it's a favorable
Mm,
fixture against him, and we're at home. So I agree with that 1%.
Very
And
Well,
good
Skill.
differential. Yeah,
Well, I
very
agree with
good
that one
differential.
percent as well. That he is actually he was my first option, and then I said to
Mm,
myself, I'm seeing Salah versus Leeds.
Yeah,
Salah can the motion that Salah has right now, he can easily shoot a hat trick and probably
I
give
think he
two
had a hat
assists.
trick the last time he played against them. I think it was
yeah,
So
Yeah.
because
beginning of last season.
they have that
guess what
man
I did?
marking thing they do. That man marking thing. They don't do a lot of zonal, and when Salah has you one on one, and if they
Yeah,
do it right, I mean, I see him scoring in this game too,
yeah, and
you
and
know.
and, and the two is how Leeds plays. Leeds
Yeah,
play very expansive. Liverpool will
expansive.
Running.
exactly. It's gung ho.
Uh,
So Salah, Mane, you have even Mane could have been a really good differential this week
he could
as
have
well.
been definitely. You're not really sure,
You
and
know,
Jota as well too.
and Jota
Coming
as
into
well.
the
Yeah.
team, he's been in form, and you're not entirely sure,
Mhm.
of that top three. This is why it's hard to even pick of the three,
Yeah.
because some people would say, okay, it's Mane this week, but then Salah does his business, and it's hard to have all of them in your team. And as you said,
Mhm.
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of fantasy in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going all the way forward. But last question on this point though. The 3% of the experts wanted Antonio. How long can we put our faith in him in our team? For those of them who brought him in,
You check
figured,
those
okay,
pictures.
how long can we do this before we say, you know what? Yeah, you're not Kane. You're not gonna score 30 goals this season, okay?
wow.
Or is he?
Go on.
Or is
I
he?
mean, he
Who
might.
knows?
he has potential. From since day one, he was in my team.
Me too.
But the
I
thing
agree,
is,
but
yeah, but
at some point, skill have to take you out, right?
no, there are times when you gamble, and that is who I'm gonna gamble with. Okay, I'm gonna leave him. I'm gonna change. I even took out Lukaku just to make
Mm,
space for Salah. I'm gonna
okay.
gamble with Antonio.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean,
Josh,
good skill. I'm a shot.
yeah. Well, I was thinking with Antonio, Europa League starts this coming week. So you have to
Mm,
look at factor that into.
Hmm.
Who's going to play Europa League and who's going to play. Antonio have bad hamstrings,
Yeah, he has
so
glass hamstrings. So
gotta watch that. Not just with West Ham, but with all those teams that are in Europe.
okay. All right. Final thing from Tuchel there. All right. Let us know going forward. Are you gonna be like Joe? I'm gonna call his name or Joe and partner, so Joe Good, and make a confident statement right now and say you're going to win fantasy. Is that the case? You're
oh
19
no,
points
man.
ahead. Are you gonna? Are you
No, it's
like?
a
Can you
marathon.
do? Can you do that?
No, it's a marathon, man. I mean,
But see, Joe says the same thing. He says the whole
yeah,
thing about
and
the race is not for the swift. He keeps saying
yeah,
that. You know,
because we go until May next year. That's a lot of time. It's a lot
it's a
of
lot
time.
of time.
So yeah,
All
it's
right.
just taking
So
it one week at a time.
yeah,
Super,
I
I have a
remember.
question
Go
for you
Sure.
ahead.
before you go.
Hmm.
How do you, I mean, you support Chelsea, but when you're
Hmm.
selecting your team, you just take all emotion out of it and
Right.
you're able to select this player, even though they may be playing against Chelsea.
Right. Um, that's a really good question. I think I go more. I try to target the fixtures more than anything else, right? So like for Chelsea, I'll be a little bit patient with them. You just got Lukaku in. I give it a little bit of time, let him settle in. But then from game week 7, so I look at all the fixtures, right? From game week 7, Chelsea has a stretch of about like 5 very favorable games, right? So that would be the time when I would look at people like a Mason Mount, an Aspilicueta, or Reece James. It just depends. But then Chelsea also have Champions League commitments as well. So then you have to
Right.
look at, so I think then what you do, you look at the patterns, because for you to really be good in the FPL side of things, you also have to follow what's happening in Europe during these games when Champions League starts, so then you can then set your team up and stuff. So I just take the emotion out of it, Chuck.
As you should. As you
Yeah,
should, but I gotta
yeah,
say, Memphis was the first person to note that you up there top of fantasy, have your team,
yeah,
but no
yeah.
Chelsea players
No
in your
And
Chelsea
no
team.
players.
Chelsea
Right.
players.
That's it.
He
That's it.
thought that
That's how
was
you have to think.
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, but hey, it's working for you. Thanks a lot, man,
Well,
for
yeah.
coming on the show tonight.
Yes. Thank you,
Giving a
guys.
lot of good
Yes.
advice to a lot of people. And hopefully people like Amija, who have negative 20 every week, can listen to some of your advice and then work their way to the top. If you want to join
Yes.
our fantasy, there is the code. And as he said, and as Joe continues to say, the race is not for the swift. Go ahead, Shaq.
Yep.
One last question for the FPL expert. If you could tell us one player for the next
Hmm.
3 to 5 game weeks, who would that be?
Lukaku.
Okay, all right. He says
Yeah.
Lukaku. You heard it himself.
No,
All right,
nobody
Yeah.
be
hold
trying
on
for
to
bad
that.
hours. And trick that.
It could
And I
be.
did trick.
It could be. That's something Memphis would do.
What?
But
Yeah.
it's all right.
I said I think Lukaku has like two hard games out. I think as Spurs
Wow.
and City, right? But
Mhm.
then that's game week 5 and 6. But then
5 and 6.
you have a stretch. Yeah, you have a stretch of about 4 to 5 game weeks. But again, then you have to look at the European commitments, and
Mhm. But Chelsea do
probably
have two
Werner
squads.
plays.
So,
Yeah, probably
yeah,
Werner
so they may
plays
just play Verna.
in Europe, and then
Yep,
Lukaku plays Premier League. So yeah, there you go.
that could be
All
the
right.
case. All right, we'll
Yep.
take care, man. Thank you so much for coming
Yes, man.
on tonight.
Take care of yourself, boys.
And of course, of course.
Sounds good.
Well, ultimately, fellas, as we continue to think about the rest of fantasy and how it breaks down to, yeah, I want to thank everybody that the 50-something people that fantasy stuff. Don't forget that when we do the Champions League, you need to come over, and also don't forget the fact that going into the end of the season, the end of the FPL season, and of course the Premier League, there's also going to be a prize for the winner who wins fantasy overall. It could be still Suka, it could be a miracle, skill could win. You never know. Something like that could happen, and any of
Memphis.
us could be winners. Memphis could win, who knows? Go ahead, Skill, talk to me.
Memphis never win not many life.
Well, I have a question. I have a question. Who
Mhm.
man you play tomorrow?
We play tomorrow, Newcastle.
Yeah.
We're at home.
Oh gosh.
That's bad.
Bah.
Last time you said that, you dropped. Okay, so
Yo,
please take
the
it
only
back.
reason, hey, no, I'm not gonna take it back. The reason for that, the referee made a bad call that showed off the
Okay.
whole game. I'm not gonna take it back.
Okay. All right. Once it, but you go ahead to Wilson Busting Tupanawi, from 2 assists from Zimaxman.
After he
They
plot
went
up
to
Maguire.
Makilawi. Oh man. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to say? We're gonna close the show. Our thoughts on that. And is going to fantasy. It's Freestyle Friday. Anything else in any other area of the world of sports you want? Anything on your heart before we close it off? Are we good? Christoph said, "Watch him in fantasy." Okay, all right. We hope,
Well,
Christoph, that's the case. It may just happen.
I
Actually, it's
hope he
not.
finished in the top 40.
Exactly. We should have like a relegation. Those who in the bottom three or something, or bottom 10 or something like that. The worst players down there. Let's see what it's
Wow.
like. But yeah, tomorrow, guys, look forward to lots of EPL games. Of course, I'm looking forward to the Arsenal Norwich game. I want to see that game. Definitely that's 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna have the TV on with the Man U game. And then on my phone or computer, I have the Arsenal Norwich game. Skill, what games you watching tomorrow, or just the Man U game only?
Moy will be at work, so guess what? Man, you only.
Okay, all right.
Shaq who
More,
will be coming through.
Who? Who?
Shaq who will be coming through.
That mean nobody will come
The
to.
top upstairs.
Ooh.
You see, you have to allow it. Because if I was home, strictly City.
Mhm.
Strictly.
Strictly City. Okay,
Yeah.
and no worry. Now you're not worried about the game. Your game.
Well,
Me?
I don't know.
Well,
Oh,
Oh.
I was
me?
talking
I'm
to
Moy.
I was talking to Moy. I was talking to Moy.
Oh,
You're not
I
worried
mean,
at all
honest,
that this could be like a mini upset.
Who City playing?
I mean, honestly, it's
Leicester
against
now. Leicester
Leicester.
always find a way.
It's against
Leicester find a
Leicester,
way.
Leicester is one of Man City's bogey team, and they are normally cause trouble.
Hmm.
But I think we'll get it. I stick with the
And they're
3-1
home.
victory still.
Yeah, but the defense ain't being sensible.
The man might show up tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or
I took
Sunday?
out,
I
I
think it's
took out
Sunday.
all
I think
Leicester
it.
players out my
But
team.
So
Okay.
Memphis, what was your prediction for the Arsenal Norwich game?
I said that Arsenal winning.
What's the prediction? So did you
I,
give
I
a
think
scoreline?
I think I said 3.
Really?
3-0,
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
3-1, 3-0.
3-1 because I don't think y'all keeping a clean sheet.
Imagine,
Mm.
imagine Arsenal win big, but Norwich score all own goals.
Yo, I'm right now. Arteta will take them. Arteta will take it. Right. So you go.
Well, you
All
have
right.
to
Well,
force
thank.
them to score own goals, own goals when people just don't turn around and score goals.
I
So you
mean,
gotta
Give
get
you a
in
chance.
position.
Yeah, that's
I
might
watch
have to
Fast Boy.
investigate you for match fixing.
Who? Mm.
Yeah, we're not
maybe the
united
Well,
though.
man, maybe the man ain't just get vexed and just
so
decide
we
to.
match
what are you
fix.
trying to say? What you trying to say?
I don't know what I could try to say. Don't put a match fix on you,
Yeah,
Juventus.
we
Joke,
know,
yeah.
we know over the years, United have been called upon in the talk with concerning match fixing, added time. Fergie always getting different perks
Was
that other managers
was
don't get.
United the only team called?
More in United
Was
was called the
United
most.
the only team called?
They're the team
United
that's
name
called
was
the most.
called.
They've
That's the only
benefited.
thing that
They've
matters. Okay.
benefited most from
Because
these calls,
they
and it's
must
still
have been
happening.
called Arsenal for an invincible season.
Oh, that's cap. That's cap.
Oh man. All right, fans. Well, don't forget to like, share, subscribe this video, and of course, we may expect some fan reactions hopefully tomorrow, and see what people think about the games. And I'm hoping some great upsets. And I want to thank all the commentary tonight from these wonderful guys who know a lot about football. And you guys have a great night. And
Yep.
Brandon Williams will score a hat trick tomorrow. You go ahead.
Oh wow! Oh, you shoot my boy.
We'll win some tomorrow.
All right. Well, have a good night, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching Island Fans. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when there are new videos and updates. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and like us on Facebook. Island Fans, for the passion of the game.